Where were you when things turned upside down in the association? I personally was in my kitchen. I could not believe seeing that the Dallas Mavericks won the NBA lottery last night, securing the #1 overall pick. They had a 1.8% chance of securing that #1 overall pick. In fact, I think when they entered this conversation, they were sitting at 11. Instead, it is Dallas taking over that #1 spot. So not only do we get the #1 overall pick in the NBA, remember we just locked up Paige Beckers in the WNBA championship. Everyone's laughing, including LeBron James. I also laughed, guys, because I couldn't believe this happened. I probably laughed as much as LeBron James did, but LeBron doesn't get to laugh because he got our superstar, Luka Doncic. So we're all happy. We all got what we want, it seems, as we welcome back Ashley Nicole Moss. We also bring in our basketball analyst and draft expert, Kyle Boone. Kyle, I am coming to you first. You have watched me this entire basketball season as the Mavs traded away our generational star. How on earth did we get so lucky with that first #1 overall pick? And I'll take it a step further as well. What does Nico Harrison do with it?
Look, I think you kind of deserved it. After the last year that Dallas Mavericks fans have had, I think you got to give you your flowers. A 1.8% chance, definitely not likely, but Dallas, for the first time wins the lottery since it was implemented in 1985. And Dallas has had really unfortunate luck in the lottery since the lottery system was in place. This is actually the first time ever they moved up from their pre-lottery position. So, if ever there was a chance to win the lottery, this is the year. Cooper Flagg, the ultimate prize, and come away with, one of the best prospects in a long time. And, after trading Luka Doncic earlier this year, Dallas has struggled with injuries. The fan base has, threatened to riot, and, now things are starting to turn around in Dallas. Good for them.
Man, I truly still don't believe it. I will see what happens. I know everyone, though, doesn't share my same excitement, my same sentiment. I am talking about the woman to my left and Ashley. Ashley, we know that there's this narrative, right, in the NBA that the system is rigged, right? And we see that across the board. But when you think about how the lottery system works, Utah, the worst team in the league by far last year, and they end up with the 5th overall pick. Is the system fair?
No, and look, I'm not condoning teams tanking, and that's what the lottery is supposed to prevent. It's supposed to discourage tanking, but the issue is that the lottery also has resulted in not doing what the primary goal is, and that is to help the worst teams in the NBA get better. And when you look at Utah, when you look at the Wizards, for example, yes, were there some instances throughout their season, Utah specifically, where it seemed like they were actively trying to tank? Sure. Would that have ultimately made a difference in how bad they were this particular season? No, it was just a bad team. The Wizards were just a bad team. But when you look at, since the NBA changed their lottery system in 2019, the teams with the worst record in the league have never won the lottery and picked 1st overall. They have always picked 5th overall. So if you're looking at this and you are a team actively struggling and you are trying to compete, and it's not like you're tanking, which again, I'm not condoning at all, and the lottery's not trying to reward, it's frustrating because how do you get better? Utah is not a sexy market for free agents.
No?
Washington,
You're not clamoring to go to Utah?
Nobody's clamoring to go to Utah. It's kind of like what Cleveland was after LeBron left. And there are just some markets that struggle to get those big names. And because of that, by byproduct, they don't perform well in the regular season. So if you are those teams, how do you possibly get better? Free agents are out of the mix. The lottery just constantly seems rigged, and it doesn't matter how bad you are, you'll never get that 1st pick. A team like the Dallas Mavericks with a 1.8% chance and traded away a generational player in Luka just to be rewarded to get the best two-way player in the draft in Cooper Flagg. If you are a team that has been actively struggling, if you are a team and an organization that has been struggling for years, you're extremely frustrated because how do you rectify your situation? I don't know if the algorithm needs to be changed. I'm not sure if the lottery itself needs to be adjusted, but the way that it is currently constructed and the results that are constantly being pushed out every single year just defeat the purpose, which is to try to even the playing field in the NBA and not have really, really, really great teams and really, really bad teams. There's always going to be a level of disperseness between good teams, bad teams, middle of the road teams. But you can't get better if you're not in the game. And every time it seems a bad team is in the game, they get cheated out of it.
Kyle, I'd love to hear your stance on this because Ashley brings up some great points, but I'll push back just a little bit in saying that the Mavs did lose a lot when we traded away Luka.
They were in the play-in, though.
They were, but it wasn't all smooth sailing, is my point here. So when you look at the lottery, does it need to be changed?
I think Ashley nailed a lot of points here. I think the idea of changing the lottery system like they did in 2019, where they flattened the odds and essentially took the worst team, the worst record, and had a 25% chance to win the lottery. It now goes to 14% chance for the 3 worst teams. I think they had the right idea in mind, but the execution and the way that it's played out since 2019 just has not been ideal. The team with the worst record has not picked number 1 since 2019. That's since the new implementation of the new system. That's since the flattened lottery odds. The team with the worst record has now fallen to the number 5 pick 3 years in a row. And you just have to feel for, the Washington Wizards, the Charlotte Hornets, the Utah Jazz, teams that, realistically could have altered their course of their franchise futures last night, falling out of a potential number 1 pick, out of a chance to draft Cooper Flagg. And meanwhile, Dallas Mavericks with a 1.8% chance get to pick number 1 in this summer's draft.
Listen, I feel bad for all those other teams, but
not that bad. No, you don't. I get it. I'm not mad at it.
I'll take it. Kyle, as we push this forward here, we know the Spurs were literally seconds away from earning that number 1 overall pick, but not far off there at number 2. When you look at the roster they've got currently, obviously Wemby working back from the deep vein thrombosis. You got De'Aaron Fox, the trade that came as well from the West Coast, and then the Rookie of the Year and Stephon Castle, just to name a couple of pieces there. Who could be a good complement at number 2 for them?
Don't overthink it here. It's Dylan Harper. I think he's the clear second prospect in this year's draft class. It falls off, obviously, after Cooper Flagg, but Dylan Harper, 6'6", combo guard from Rutgers, the son of Ron Harper, who played in the NBA. He's got a ton of experience. He's got a good pedigree. He's a former 5-star recruit, averaged one of the most prolific scorers in college basketball as a true freshman this last season. I think he'd be a great pairing next to Victor Wembanyama. Really good addition in the backcourt, can play multiple positions. I think Victor Wembanyama, Dylan Harper, that team is set for success for a really long time in the Western Conference.
All right, we'll see how it all works out, guys. Thanks so much. Go Mavs. By the way, the city is up, man. That's all I can say. We are certainly up. Here's a look at those NBA prospect rankings. You can find the full list on CBSSports.com. No surprise, Cooper Flagg is up there at number 1. Gotta think Dallas is leaning that way, or maybe even leading a trade. That's a story for another day. But Dylan Harper checking in at that number 2 spot. Kyle Boone likes the idea of him linking up with Wemby out in San Antonio.